Welcome to this yoga practice, which can be done at any time of the day, morning, evening. It's a nice, general, rounded practice, and I hope you enjoy it. So we'll take a comfortable seat, taking the heels either together or crossing the legs comfortably, sitting on a block if that's more comfortable to you, whichever feels good. So once you've found your comfortable sitting position, we'll straighten the spine, lifting up through the crown of the head, rolling the shoulders gently back, resting the hands either on the knees or the thighs, and gently closing the eyes. We'll start by taking a few breaths. Just taking this moment to connect to your breath. As we inhale, we'll fill the lungs completely. And as we exhale, we'll empty all the way from the bottom of the lungs to the top. Nice big, deep breaths. We can also take this moment to connect to the body. So just becoming aware of any sensations, any feelings of lightness, heaviness, maybe some areas which are feeling a little bit more tender than others. Maybe those areas we need to pay a little bit more attention to today in the practice. And we'll gently blink the eyes open and get ready to start to move. So we'll start with some neck stretches. We'll drop the chin down towards the chest, keeping the spine lovely and long, allowing the neck to be completely relaxed, keeping the shoulders back, keeping the breath flowing deeply. And we'll turn the head so that the left ear rests down towards the left shoulder. So we're stretching all the way along the right side of the neck. We can keep this right shoulder down. As we push it down a little bit more, it helps to increase the stretch on the side of the neck. So just you can be the judge of how challenging you'd like the stretch to be. And we'll gently tip the head back and allow the right ear to come down to the right shoulder. Again, keeping the left shoulder back and down, stretching long through the neck. And tipping the head forward, chin towards the chest. Letting the neck and the head be completely relaxed, keeping the spine straight. We'll take the circle in the opposite direction, so we'll take the right ear to the right shoulder first. Keeping the left shoulder down. Dropping the head gently back. And switching sides, left ear to left shoulder. And dropping the head forward again. We'll take a few deep breaths here. And on the inhale, lifting the head back up to center. So from here, I'm just going to turn to the side to show you. We're going to take the hands just to the base of the spine. So sitting up nice and tall, onto the fingertips pointing forward, squeezing the elbows and the shoulder blades together, opening up through the front and the top of the chest. So as we squeeze the shoulder blades together, bringing the elbows together, we're pushing the chest up towards the ceiling. With each breath, drawing the breath into this part here, this top of the chest. So with each inhale, we're widening a little bit more. Really taking the heart high, taking the chest forward. And stretching in the opposite direction, we'll walk the hands in front, staying on the fingertips, this time lengthening up through the spine and gently walking the hands forward. So we won't worry too much about coming really low down to the ground. We'll keep the lovely length in the spine, keeping the shoulders rolled back into their sockets and keeping the head up for the moment. So lengthening up from the tailbone all the way through the crown of the head. Then we'll gently allow the chin to rest back down towards the chest. Just completing the stretch all the way from the crown of the head down the spine to the tailbone. And inhaling, lifting the head up. I'll move back round to center. We're going to start by folding over to the left. So walking the hands over the left leg, just lining up the center line of the chest with the center line of the knee. Lengthening up through the spine and folding gently forward. Here we'll make sure that the right sit bone stays really firmly connected down into the mat. Both sides of the body stay long. We can think of having the shoulders being level. So if one shoulder feels like it's rushing forward and the other's holding back, we'll just gently bring them back, reconnect the shoulders into their sockets, and fold forward from here. Lovely deep breaths filling the abdomen as we inhale and emptying as we exhale. And we'll walk the hands back round to center, just taking a brief moment at the center point and then walking all the way around to the right side. Again, lengthening up, bringing the center line of the chest in line with the center of the knee, and slowly walking forward. Again, working to keep this left sit bone really firmly connected. We can even push back through the hands to reconnect that sit bone if it feels like it's rising up. Lengthening up through the spine, making sure the shoulders are level and one's not rushing forward. You can think of taking the breath evenly into both sides of the body here. So sometimes the right side of the body here can get a little bit collapsed. So if we think of breathing equally into both sides of the lungs, we can fill up on both sides. So we're stretching evenly, balancing both sides. That's great. And we'll walk the hands all the way back to center. Taking a moment, stretching maybe a little bit longer, a little bit taller here. And then walking all the way back, coming back up to sitting. We'll change the cross of the legs. So if one heel is in front of the other, we'll switch around. If you're sitting cross-legged, if one leg is on top of the other, switching that around as well. So we're just balancing out. This might be a little bit less comfortable than the other side, but that's okay. So we'll start by inhaling, reaching the arms up overhead, taking the fingers together, interlacing the fingers, and turning the palms up to the ceiling. We'll squeeze the elbows into the ears and take the shoulders down away from the ears. So we're taking the shoulders down but reaching the fingers up, especially reaching the first fingers. So we're pushing the first fingers up towards the ceiling. Just lengthening and reaching, inhaling up. As we exhale, we'll lean gently over to the left, drawing the shoulders down away from the ears, squeezing the elbows in together. Inhaling back to center and exhaling over to the right. Keeping those things in mind, squeezing the shoulders down, elbows in, palms pushing up. And inhaling back to center, well done. Exhaling, releasing down. We'll move straight into a twist, taking the right hand to the outer left thigh, taking the left hand to the base of the spine, just helping to support the spine and lengthen. As we inhale, we'll lift up through the crown of the head, and as we exhale, gently twisting around to the left. Just making sure we're keeping both shoulders nice and relaxed. Keeping the breath flooding the body as we inhale and emptying as we exhale. We'll inhale gently back round to center and exhale straight to the other side. Left hand onto the right knee, right fingertips to the base of the spine, sitting up nice and tall, and exhaling, twisting around to the right. With each inhale, we can get a little bit taller, and with each exhale, we can maybe twist a little bit deeper, allowing the gaze to follow the direction of the twist. Lovely deep breaths as we're twisting. And we'll inhale all the way back to center. Well done. So we'll rock forward onto the hands and knees, taking the wrists underneath the shoulders, the knees underneath the hips. So getting comfortable here, hands shoulder width, knees hip width. We'll start with some cat and cow stretches. So we'll start by arching the spine up to the ceiling, all the way up, tucking the chin in towards the chest, and releasing, allowing the tummy and the chest to melt down towards the mat as we lift the gaze up. We'll keep this movement flowing, arching the spine up to the ceiling, tucking the chin into the chest, and releasing the tummy and chest all the way down, taking the gaze up. This movement flows from the tailbone all the way up to the top of the spine. So as we're flowing, almost like a wave, this curve flowing all the way up the spine, trying to get a little bit of movement out of each part of the spine. So everyone's spine has a place where it likes to bend naturally. It has a natural bending spot where it bends easily. But if we try and really get the most out of this wave, bringing a little bit of a curve into each vertebra, we can start to bring a little bit of movement to each part of the spine. This is great for releasing any stiffness around the spine, any trapped energy. And one more round, releasing. And allowing the spine to come back to neutral. That's great. We'll press firmly into the hands, spreading the fingers wide, connecting all 10 fingers and the thumb into the mat. We'll tuck the toes under and lift the hips up to the ceiling, stretching long through the arms, taking the sit bones high, drawing the heels back down behind you. So coming into our first downward dog, making any adjustments that you need to, maybe stepping into your dog, stretching one leg at a time, bending the other leg. And coming back, both legs straight. So we'll press into the hands, lengthening up through the arms, making space where between the shoulders and the ears, taking the shoulders wide, shooting the sit bones high, drawing the thighs back to the wall behind you. We'll start to walk the hands towards the feet, so rocking back onto the heels, coming into a forward fold, Uttanasana. Don't worry if the fingertips can't touch the ground. We'll take hold of each elbow with each hand, allow the head to be heavy, the neck to be completely relaxed, and the crown of the head to rock down towards the ground. So we'll just fold here for a few breaths. Have an awareness of taking the weight gently forward into the balls of the feet rather than dropping back into the heels. So there's a tendency to drop back, but if we take the weight forward, we can feel the torso heavy, increasing that stretch all the way down the backs of the legs. While we're here, we'll just gently rock the head from side to side, as if we're saying no, and nodding the head forward and back, as if we're saying yes. Just releasing the neck. And coming back to neutral. We'll come into a gentle twist here. So we'll start by taking the left hand onto the outer right leg. I'll turn to face you so you can see. So left hand onto the outer right leg, lower down if you're flexible or a bit higher up if you're not. And reaching the right hand all the way up to the ceiling, taking the gaze to the ceiling if you can, or looking down towards the feet. Whichever feels more comfortable. So lovely deep breaths in this final twist. And trying not to allow the left leg to bend and come forward, trying to keep that left knee back. And releasing back down to center as you switch to the other side. Taking the right hand to the outer left leg, twisting the torso and reaching the left fingertips high. Taking the gaze either up to the fingertips or down towards the feet for a bit more stability. Deep breaths, drawing all the way to the bottom of the lungs. And gently releasing all the way back down. Head heavy, hands heavy, as we start to roll up, really firming into the legs. Rolling slowly, slowly up, keeping the head and the arms totally relaxed. Stacking vertebra upon vertebra. We're slowly rolling all the way back up to our standing position. That's great. We'll roll the arms. So inhaling as we're lifting the right arm up and over, exhaling, releasing down and back. Inhaling up and over, exhaling down and back. And the other direction. Inhaling back and up, and exhaling down and forwards. Once more. Inhaling and exhaling. Other side. Inhaling left arm up overhead, exhaling down behind. Inhaling up, exhaling, reaching back, and the other side. Reaching back, inhaling, exhaling, releasing. One more circle. And exhaling, that's great. So standing at the end of your mat with your feet hip width, we'll inhale the arms up above the head, taking the palms to face into each other. Little fingers coming towards each other. Shoulders down away from the ears, tailbone gently tucked in. We'll take a deep inhale and get even longer through the fingertips. As we exhale, we'll fold forward, keeping the spine flat, keeping the spine long, allowing the hands to circle all the way down towards the ground. Don't worry if the fingertips can't touch the ground with the legs straight. Gently bending the knees if you need to and walking the hands forward, back into our downward facing dog. Placing the hands firmly, spreading the fingers, pressing down through each finger and thumb, long in the arms, long in the spine, sit bone high. Take 2 deep breaths here. Staying firm in the arms, turning the outer upper arm in towards each other, getting even stronger whilst pressing through the thumb and the first finger of the hands. So we'll step the left foot into the center and raise the right foot up to the ceiling, trying to keep the hips parallel. You might find that the hip wants to reach up, but for the moment we'll keep the hips parallel, taking the toes down towards the ground and the heel pushing back behind you. Holding here, and then we'll bend at the knee, taking the heel in towards the sit bone, and now we'll open up the hips, taking the knee all the way to the ceiling being the highest point, trying to keep the shoulders parallel, opening up into the hip here, and releasing back down. Well done. We'll step the right foot to the center as we take the left foot high, again staying parallel, shooting back through the heel, toes pointing down, staying strong in the arms, and then we'll bend at the knee and open through the hip, trying to keep the shoulders parallel, heel squeezing in towards the buttock, knee high, and releasing all the way down. Well done. We'll walk the feet forward in between the hands, coming back into our forward fold, taking the forehead down towards the knees. If the hands can't quite come either side of the feet without bending the knees, that's absolutely fine. Bend the knees as much as we need to and bring the forehead in towards the knees. We'll straighten the legs, inhaling up, looking forward, either taking the hands just by the toes or onto the shins as we look forward and lengthen the spine. And then we'll fold in once again, exhaling forehead to knees. From here, we'll come up with a nice flat back, keeping the spine straight, lifting all the way up, palms together, gaze to the palms and exhaling, hands in front of the chest. That's lovely. We'll release the hands down by the side. We'll create our firm foundation before we start the flowing standing postures. So we'll really firmly press the feet into the mat, spreading through the toes, turning the toes slightly in towards each other rather than out to the side. We'll keep the feet hip width distance at the moment. And we'll tuck the tailbone slightly under, drawing the knees up into the thighs, firming the legs, rolling the heads of the shoulders gently back, firming in the abdominal area as well. Just releasing the hands down by the sides. A few breaths in Tadasana, mountain pose. Allowing the breath to fill the body before we start to flow. So on the next inhale, we'll reach the arms up overhead, palms together, gently touching, and folding forward at the hips, drawing the hands down the center line, forehead to the knees, fingertips either side of the feet, bending the knees if we need to. Inhaling, lengthening forward, hands staying by the feet or coming onto the shins. Exhaling again, forehead to knees. We're going to step the right foot back as far as it will go, keeping the knee down onto the ground and turning the front of the foot so the toenails press down onto the ground. We'll stay on the fingertips either side of the front foot and just gently soften into the hips. We can lengthen up through the torso, taking the heart forward, whilst we're still softening in the hips. That's great. Pressing the hands down into the mat, tucking the back toes under, taking the left foot back into a plank, top of a push-up. Making sure here that we're stacking the shoulders over the heels of the hands. We're drawing the heels back behind us and strongly tucking the tailbone under, firming in the abdominal area. So holding for a moment before releasing down onto the knees, keeping the elbows squeezed in, releasing the chest down in between the hands, lengthening back through each leg, pressing all 10 toenails into the ground, squeezing the elbows in, shoulders back and down, and raising gently up into a cobra. Making sure we only come up as far as we can, keeping the elbows and shoulders down. So if pressing up really far means that we lose this lovely position and we look a bit like this, then we'll stay a little bit lower and keep the elbows in and the shoulders back and down. Lovely. Pressing into the hands, tucking the toes under, pushing all the way back into our downward facing dog. Again, getting long in the arms, pressing through all 10 fingers, making space in the shoulders, rolling the upper arms in, shooting the thighs back. Few breaths here. From here, we'll step the right foot forward in between the hands, taking the left knee down this time, front of the foot onto the mat. So back into our low lunge, softening into the hips, lengthening up through the torso, taking the heart forwards. So just opening up into the hips, stretching the front of the thighs on both sides, tucking the back toes under and pushing back, stepping all the way forward, forehead to knees, back to our standing position, straight back, inhaling all the way up, palms together, and exhaling, releasing to standing. Taking a few breaths here, hands in front of the heart. Releasing the hands down to inhale back. And exhaling, folding, hands down the center line, fingertips either side of the feet, forehead to the knees. Inhaling, lifting, lengthening up. Exhaling, folding a little bit deeper. Stepping the left foot back this time. This time we'll keep the knee high, but we'll shoot that heel back and take the front shin forward. So really squeezing as if we're tearing the legs apart. At the same time, drawing both legs into the center line down the mat. So we're taking the legs apart and squeezing them in, so we're gathering all the energy into the center of the body. And again, we'll lengthen the heart forward, lengthening the spine, really firm with the legs. And pressing the hands down, stepping the right foot back into our plank position, top of a push-up. Holding for a moment, getting firm, taking the heels back, dropping onto the knees, chest in between the hands, squeezing the elbows in, lengthening back through both legs and pushing up into a cobra. Keeping those elbows in and the shoulders back and down. Tucking the toes under, pushing back to our downward facing dog. And taking a few deep breaths here. So allowing the head to be heavy. Sometimes you want to lift the head up and look forward and keep some tension in the neck. But just allowing the neck to be completely relaxed. Looking back towards your toes, looking back towards your feet. Lovely. So from here, we'll step the left foot forward in between the hands. Keeping the right knee high, getting firm. Taking that right heel back, pushing forward through the left shin. Tearing the legs apart, but also squeezing them into the center line, drawing all the energy up into the center, lengthening through the body, through the spine, taking the heart forward. Just resting the chest on that front thigh. And stepping forward, pushing into the back foot, forehead to knees. Inhaling, nice flat back all the way back up to standing. Tucking the tailbone under, palms together, and exhaling, releasing. Taking a few breaths here. Allowing the breath to come back to resting before we carry on. Inhaling, arms up. Exhaling, folding, forehead to the knees. Hands either side of the feet. We'll inhale and lengthen up. Looking forward before we fold. Forehead to knees once again. we'll step the right foot back, staying in our high lunge, getting comfortable, really getting sturdy through the legs, and then firming in the legs to come up, lifting the torso up, and we'll raise the arms all the way up above the head. Palms together, shoulders down, reaching through the fingertips. So keeping a deep bend into that front knee, keep lifting up through the back leg, and keep drawing the right hip forward and taking the left hip back, so we're squaring into the hips. Taking the tailbone pointing down, all the way down towards the mat. Hands together in front of the chest, releasing down either side of the front foot, stepping back into a plank, top of a push-up, holding for a moment before exhaling, releasing down, knees, chest in between the hands, lengthening through the front of each leg and inhaling up to cobra. Squeezing the elbows in, shoulders back and down. Exhaling, toes under, downward facing dog, heels back, thighs back, strong in the arms, long in the spine. Deep breaths here. And we'll step the right foot forward in between the hands, staying high with the back leg. Again, getting firm, getting sturdy, and lifting up, lifting the torso up, reaching the arms up overhead, taking the shoulders down away from the ears, reaching the fingers high. That's great. Deep bend into the front knee, strong in the back leg. This time taking the left hip forward and the right hip back, really squaring into the hips, dropping the tailbone down. And again, hands in front of the chest, either side of the front foot, stepping forward into our fold, forehead to knees. And inhaling all the way up, nice straight back. Palms together. And exhaling, releasing, hands in front of the chest. A few deep breaths here before we're ready to carry on. So inhaling, reaching the arms up overhead, palms together. Exhaling, folding forward, fingertips either side of the feet, forehead to the knees. Inhaling, lengthening forward, looking forward. Exhaling, folding in once again. This time we'll step the left foot back, coming into our lunge, getting firm in the legs, raising up through the torso. And we'll take the arms up overhead, reaching up, shoulders back and down, fingers high, really strong in the legs. This time as we release the hands in front of the chest, we're going to hook the left elbow onto the right thigh and push up into a twist. So I'll show you on the other side. As we're twisting around, we're hooking the elbow, keeping the legs really firm, pressing the top hand into the bottom hand as we turn the torso up and around to the ceiling. And releasing the hands down either side of the front foot, stepping back into plank, holding the body parallel for a moment, releasing down, knees, chest in between the hands, and inhaling up, elbows squeezed in, shoulders back and down. Exhaling, downward facing dog, pressing into the palms, strong in the arms. Nice deep breaths here. Taking the heels down behind you. If it's too much to take the heels down and the legs straight, sometimes it causes the lower back to arch. So if that happens, we can just bend the knees slightly and shoot the sit bones up to the ceiling. So not to worry so much about straightening the legs, more important to have the spine straight first, and then we gradually work towards straightening the legs. So just wherever is comfortable for you. Okay, we'll step the left foot forward in between the hands, staying high with the right leg. And when you're ready, lifting up, raising the arms up overhead. Palms facing each other, shoulders down. And palms together, twisting the other side. Right elbow over left thigh. Palm to palm, Pushing, twisting the torso around. Maybe taking the gaze to the ceiling or keeping it down at the front foot if that's easier. And releasing the hands either side of the front foot. Palms down, stepping forward. Forward fold, forehead to knees. And inhaling all the way up, nice flat back. Palms together. Exhaling, releasing. Taking a few breaths here in Tadasana. Just allowing the body to settle. And we'll inhale, raise the arms up. Once again, palms together, folding forward. Forehead to the knees. Inhaling, lengthening up, looking forward. And exhaling, folding once again, forehead to the knees. So we'll step the right foot back, coming into a lunge. This time we'll take the right heel down so that the outer edge of the right foot is in line with the back of the mat. We'll cartwheel the arms open, coming up into our warrior two. So we keep a deep bend to this front knee, just making sure that the heel of this front foot is in line with the middle of the arch of the back foot. So just lining them up. So deep bend to the left knee, taking the knee over the heel. If we look down and we can't see the big toe, just opening that knee slightly so we can see the big toe as we look down. Strengthening into this back leg, pressing really firmly down to the outside of the back leg and reaching the arms up out to the sides, palms facing down, taking the gaze over the left fingertips. Into our warrior two. We'll allow the right arm to drop down onto the right leg behind and come into reverse warrior, stretching through the left side of the body. Keeping that deep bend to the front knee. And switching sides, coming back through warrior two, bending the left elbow, stretching the right arm overhead. Maybe turning the gaze up to the ceiling, looking underneath the arm, stretching through the other side. That's great. Inhaling, coming back to warrior two. Taking the gaze forward. We'll take the hands onto the hips now and straightening that front leg, turning the hips to face forward, reaching the arms out once again. We're going to allow the body to pour over that left leg, allowing the fingertips of the left hand to drop down towards the leg as the right fingertips reach up towards the ceiling. So here into triangle trikonasana, we're twisting the body around. Either taking the gaze up to the fingertips, up to the ceiling, or down to the front foot if balance is an issue. Whichever works for you. A couple more breaths here. And on the next inhale, lifting all the way up. Again, we'll take the hands on the hips. And we'll turn the left foot in so both toes are facing forwards or facing the long edge of your mat. So we'll make sure here that the toes are coming slightly towards each other and the heels are slightly out. Strengthening, firming in the legs, drawing the knees up into the thighs, taking the hands to the hips, opening through the chest, squeezing the elbows together, inhaling and looking up, exhaling, folding forward from the hips. Keeping the spine lovely and long. And then we'll take the hands down to the ground, if you can. Otherwise, we can just keep the hands onto the hips. We'll take the hands underneath the shoulders, staying long through the spine. Now, you can either stay here, or if you want to take it a little bit further, we can walk the hands down underneath the legs, taking the fingertips in line with the toes, keeping the hands shoulder width distance and relaxing the neck completely, allowing the crown of the head to drop down towards the ground. If you want to take the crown of the head all the way down to the ground, go ahead. Trying to keep the hands and the elbows shoulder width distance. Have a few breaths here. Really keeping strong in the legs, keeping that weight coming forward rather than rocking back. And then we'll slowly walk the hands forward, taking them back under the shoulders, firming into the legs. And hands back onto the waist, coming all the way up. We'll turn the right toes out, keeping the left toes turned in, and we'll come back to our warrior two legs. So making sure again that we're keeping that knee nice and open, we can see the big toe firmly into the back of the leg, lining up the heel with the inner arch of the back foot. So finding your comfortable, sturdy warrior two legs. And then we'll take the arms wide, taking the gaze over the right fingertips. Making sure the body isn't wanting to run away with you, drawing the body back so it's over the center line, over the center point. So again here, we'll drop the left hand back, taking the right arm high, reverse warrior, stretching into the side. And the other way, side stretch, bending into the right elbow, taking the left arm high, gazing up to the ceiling under the arm, taking the shoulders down away from the ears. Keeping the legs strong. We'll inhale back up to our warrior two. And taking the hands onto the hips, straightening into the right leg, turning the hips to face forward, taking the arms wide, pouring the body, this time over the right leg, until the fingertips reach down towards the leg, the left fingertips are high. Twisting the body, so twisting this side body up and around to the ceiling, as if there was someone twisting it around for us. Lovely deep breaths. And we'll inhale up. That's great, taking the arms wide and releasing them onto the hips. We'll turn the right toes back in, coming back to our wide length stance. Toes slightly in, heels slightly out. Really firm into the legs. This time, rather than keeping the hands on the waist, we're going to interlink the hands behind us. So we'll interlink the hands behind us like this, drawing the chest open. So drawing the chest open and back as we inhale, as we exhale, again folding from the hips, keeping the arms. You might find if you're quite stiff that the arms are a little bit bent and they'll stay here. But if you've got a little bit more flexibility, maybe straightening the arms out, allowing the torso to completely relax and taking the arms down towards the ground behind you. Just making sure here that we stay firm in the legs with the knees traveling up into the thighs, firming the kneecaps. Pressing down firmly into the outer edge of the feet, keeping the weight slightly forward. Lovely deep breaths. And on the next inhale, keeping the fingertips, on the next inhale, keeping the fingertips interlinked if you can, drawing all the way back up, really strong in the legs. Hands guiding you back and back up to standing. Hands back onto the hips. We'll step the right foot back to meet the left at the top of the mat and come back into our Tadasana. Releasing the arms by the sides, tucking the tailbone under, shoulders back and down. So we'll prepare for a balancing pose here. I'll turn to face you again. We'll bend into the right leg and we'll take the left leg and cross it over the top as if we were sitting at a desk. So if you're quite flexible and can tuck round a double tuck, taking the toes around, that's great. If not, and you just want to stick with one cross, that's also fine. So we'll keep this standing leg nice and bent, so we're strengthening into that right standing leg. Taking the arms out in front, bending at the elbows. We'll take the right elbow underneath the left and twist the arms around, taking the palms together if we can. Nice deep breaths here, taking the elbows away from you, the forearms away from you, so we're drawing into the upper back, pushing the spine away. And gently releasing the arms, releasing the legs, keep standing into that right leg, lifting the left knee up in towards the chest, making sure we drop into the left hip and we're not lifting the left hip up as well. So gently dropping down with the left hip, squeezing that knee into the chest. Right, we're going to move on to tree pose. So we'll take the left sole of the foot either low down into the right leg or maybe a little bit higher. So wherever is comfortable for you, finding a nice, good position, pressing the foot into the leg. As much as the leg presses into the foot helps to create a really nice, firm foundation. Taking the palms together in front of the chest. And nice, deep breaths. Maybe taking the arms up above the head, keeping the palms together. Lovely. Releasing the hands down. Gently releasing the left leg back down. And we'll step straight into the left leg, spreading the toes, creating a firm foundation, ready to balance. Bending into the knee, crossing the right leg. Crossing the right leg over the left. Tucking the toes under, back into our Garudasana, eagle legs. So just get comfortable like this. Bend into the standing leg, bending into that left leg. Getting really firm, creating some heat. Taking the arms out in front, bending at the elbows. This time we'll take the left arm underneath the right, bringing the palms back together. Taking the elbows and the forearms away from you, drawing the shoulders apart, pushing the spine back. Nice deep breaths here, standing strong in that standing leg. Well done. And releasing the arms. Stay standing on the left leg, not putting the right leg down yet. Squeezing that knee into the chest. Dropping the right hip down so the hips are equal. Drawing the knee maybe a little bit closer into this chest, still dropping the hip down. And ready to get into our tree pose. So we'll take the right foot either to the lower part of the leg. This is a little bit easier on the balance, or a little bit higher up. So whichever is more comfortable for you, pressing the leg into the foot, pressing the foot into the leg, and then taking the hands together in front of the chest. And balancing. That's great. Nice deep breaths. And taking the hands overhead if you can. Not to worry if you wobble from side to side or maybe even fall over. Just coming back to the balance. Balance takes practice and it changes every day. Some day the balancing is good, some days not so good. So just accept how your body is today. That's fab. And releasing the hands back down. Gently releasing the leg down. We'll give the legs a bit of a shake. Just shaking them out. And circling into the ankles. Circling one direction and the other. Both sides. We're doing a lot of standing poses to just releasing any tension in the legs. Okay, we're going to come back down onto the mat now. So we'll gently come down to kneeling. We'll take the sit bones onto the heels. And just kneeling comfortably on your mat. We're going to take the sit bones over to the right side of the heels. And swing that left leg up and over, taking the sole of the foot down. So we're going to come into a twist here, Ardha Matsyendrasana. So the most important thing here is to have both sit bones really firmly attached to the mat. Sometimes we feel like this left sit bone, if this leg is caught up, we're sitting a bit on our heel and the sit bone can't quite come down. So if it's not quite touching the ground here, let's straighten out that bottom leg. So this is another option, another variation. And then we have both sit bones really firmly attached. So if you're not sure, it might be worth trying both and seeing which feels more secure. Okay, so wherever you are, we'll start by hugging the left knee into the chest, taking the right arm and drawing it in close. So we're starting to stretch and open up into the outside of the hip here. So really hugging it in and drawing it in as we're twisting. Then we'll reach the left arm out and around, taking the fingertips to the base of the spine, lifting up through the spine as we inhale, still squeezing this leg in, and exhaling, twisting around to the left. Lovely deep breaths. Keeping the shoulders down. Keep squeezing the leg in with each inhale, getting a little bit taller, with each exhale, twisting a little bit deeper. Try to keep the big toe of the left foot pressing firmly down into the mat. That's great. One more breath here. And we'll inhale back to center. and we'll come to the other side. So again, we'll come back onto kneeling, sit bones onto the heels, and we'll take the sit bones down to the other side, down to the left, swinging the right leg over the top and getting comfortable. So either keeping that leg bent up, or as we just mentioned, maybe stretching it out, seeing if that's a little bit more comfortable, whichever works for you. So we'll hug this knee in, taking the left elbow, squeezing the knee into the side, lengthening up through the spine. Again, we're stretching in this outer hip here. So keep squeezing that knee into the chest, feeling the stretch here. Opening the right arm out to the side, taking the fingertips to the base of the spine, inhaling, lengthening up, exhaling, twisting around to the right. So the main thing here is to keep the spine really, really straight. So imagine that the spine is a firm central column, all the way from the crown of the head to the base of the spine, to the tailbone. And so in this twist here, that column needs to stay absolutely straight. So if you feel like you're gently leaning back, or maybe to the side, or even dropping the head forward, this column is no longer straight. So try to have this concept of a really lovely straight column, and we're keeping that column straight all the way up the spine as we're twisting. A few more deep breaths here. And inhaling, coming all the way back to center. Well done. So we'll keep this right leg outstretched, and we'll take the left foot in towards the right thigh. So we're coming to a seated stretch, Janu Shirshasana, or head to knee pose. So getting long in this right leg, we can even turn the flesh of the thighs and the buttocks out, so we've got a little bit more space in the sacral area to fold into. So we'll start by reaching the arms up above the head, taking the shoulders down, reaching up through the fingertips, really lengthening in the spine as we exhale and start to fold forward, reaching the fingertips towards the foot. We'll inhale up once more, reaching up, getting long through the spine, and exhaling, folding forward. This time we'll stay here. So if you can reach to your toes and hold on to the foot, that's great. If you can't quite reach the foot, absolutely fine. Resting the hands either onto the leg or either side of the leg. Taking a few breaths here. So keeping the spine lovely and long. If we're reaching towards the foot, try to avoid drawing the shoulders out of the sockets and really firming into the arms. So if reaching to the foot causes this tension in the arms and the shoulders, gently release the hands a little bit further back. Keep a nice gentle bend into the elbows. Keep the shoulders rolling back into their sockets. Nice deep breaths here. If you want to, we can just relax into the neck and allow the chin to rest down and towards the chest. But trying not to arch into the upper back, trying to keep the spine lovely and long. On the next inhale, we'll rise up and we'll switch sides. So we'll take the left leg out in front, taking the right foot in towards the thigh. Again, rolling the flesh of the thighs and the buttocks out so that we've got lots of space in the sacrum. Lovely and long in the left leg, toes pointing up to the ceiling, reaching the arms up above the head, and exhaling, folding forward, staying long in the spine, reaching the fingertips forward, inhaling once again. And last time, exhaling, folding, this time relaxing the hands either onto the leg, either side of the leg or the foot. So finding your comfortable position, just remembering not to overstretch and get too tense in the arms, keeping that nice relaxed bend in the elbows. So wherever you are, breathing nice and deeply, allowing the breath to flood the lungs. Maybe with each exhale, releasing a little bit of stiffness, maybe moving a little bit more into the pose, maybe the chest coming down towards the thigh a little bit more. And on the next breath, we'll inhale and come all the way up. Well done. So we're going to take the soles of the feet together now, coming into Baddha Konasana, bound angle pose. So getting comfortable, drawing the heels in towards the body. and holding onto the feet. So we can either hold onto the feet and keep the feet together here, or some people might find that the feet just naturally want to open up like a book. So either way is absolutely fine. So we'll open up into the knees and the thighs. So we'll start by just bouncing the knees and the thighs a little bit. As we're starting to open up and stretch these inner thighs, gently bouncing. Some people call this butterfly pose. So as if we're flapping the wings of the butterfly. And then we'll just relax the legs, allow them to become still. Sitting up nice and tall, rolling the shoulders back, staying long in the spine, we'll start to fold forward. So again here we want to avoid this arching over in the upper back. So we'll keep rolling the shoulders back, keep lengthening through the spine. So as we're folding, if you ever feel that the upper back starts to arch over and we start to dive down towards the ground, that's fine. Just gently rolling the shoulders back into their sockets, lifting up through the spine and continuing with the fold. So lovely deep breaths here. With each inhale getting a little bit longer through the spine. With each exhale maybe folding a little bit further. So as we exhale, we can almost visualize any stiffness that we're feeling in the body, maybe here in the inner thighs or the outer hips. We can almost visualize that stiffness being released through the nostrils with the exhale. So have a go now. Nice deep breath, inhaling, filling up the body with energy and vitality, and with the exhale really releasing, visualizing that stiffness releasing, being removed, allowing us a little bit more space to move into. Okay, well done. We'll start to roll up all the way back up to sitting. That's great. So we're going to come now onto our backs. So gently rolling down onto the spine, keeping the knees bent, keeping the soles of the feet flat on the mat. We'll keep the heels coming in towards the sit bones. A perfect distance if we reach the arms down, palms flat. If the middle finger just scrapes the back of the heel, that's a great distance to be. Making sure again the feet are hip width, the knees staying hip width as well. Pressing the hands and the arms down into the mat, tucking the chin slightly into the chest. We'll start to lift in the hips, coming into a bridge or Setu Bandhasana, into a gentle back bend. Lifting high with the hips. We can keep the arms down onto the mat, or if you'd like to interlink the fingers underneath you, we can walk onto the upper arms and shoulders a little bit more, pressing the arms down into the mat whilst we're lifting the hips high. Lovely deep breaths here. Just trying to remember to keep the chin slightly away from the chest, so we're keeping that natural arch in the back of the neck. Lovely deep breaths. And releasing the hands from underneath, gently lowering down, as if we were peeling the spine back onto the mat, allowing each vertebra to touch down to the mat one by one, until the tailbone is the very last point to touch back down. And taking a few breaths here, allowing the spine to come back to neutral, allowing the body to settle. We're going to have another go at Setu Bandhasana, the bridge pose. So we'll start by pressing the feet firmly into the mat, pressing the arms and the hands. And as we start to inhale, we'll lift the hips off, curling into the spine, peeling the spine off the mat, vertebra by vertebra, lifting the hips up towards the ceiling. So we can either stay here, again interlinking the fingers, pressing into the outer arms, pressing into the shoulders and lifting the hips high. Or if you'd like to take the back bend a little bit further, you can come all the way up into a wheel, Urdhva Dhanurasana. For this, we can take the fingertips in towards the shoulders, hands by the ears. So this is optional. If you'd like to give it a go, give it a go. Keeping the elbows squeezing in together, keeping really strong in the legs. We'll push up onto the hands, crown of the head onto the floor, reaffirming your position, squeezing the elbows in and pushing all the way up, lifting the hips high, allowing the head to drop. Taking a few breaths here, Urdhva Dhanurasana. And gently releasing down, tucking the chin into the chest,
rolling back down onto the spine. So whether we were in bridge or wheel, we'll all tuck the knees into the chest and giving the body a hug and a squeeze, gently rolling from side to side. Maybe gently circling the knees, massaging into the lower back and the outer hips. If we're circling, just make sure that we circle in both directions. That's lovely. And bringing the knees back into center, giving them one more squeeze. We'll just finish the practice with some supine twists. So we'll drop the toes down onto the mat, keeping the knees together. You might want to shuffle the hip a little bit over to the left as we take the knees down to the right. So we're twisting knees over to the right, taking the left arm out to the side, palm facing down, gaze over the fingertips, making sure here that both shoulder blades stay firmly attached to the mat. Trying to relax into the leg and keeping the knees and the feet as together as possible. So lovely deep breaths here, drawing the breath all the way into the base of the spine, into the back body, into the back of the lungs. Keep filling up with the inhale, emptying with the exhale. Starting to let the body relax, starting to allow the energy to come down, become softer. On the next inhale, we'll draw the knees back up to center. We'll hug them back in to release the spine. And allowing both toes to drop down to the mat, we'll just come to the other side. So maybe tucking the left hip slightly underneath as we twist, taking the knees and the feet down, taking the right arm out 90 degrees to the body. Same as on the other side, palm facing down. Gaze over the fingertips. Lovely deep breaths. Allowing the body to relax, allowing the body to start to melt into the mat. Sometimes when we're twisting especially, the effort of twisting sometimes prevents us from moving as deeply as we can move into the pose. So with each breath, relaxing a little bit deeper. And inhaling, coming back to center, hugging the knees into the chest, squeezing them in tight, giving the body a hug. So one by one, we'll release the legs down long along the mat, taking the feet mat width wide. So taking each heel to each corner of the mat. And we're coming into our shavasana relaxation pose. So taking each leg wide, mat width wide if we can. Taking the arms slightly away from the body, palms facing up. We'll take a few moments to adjust the body into shavasana. So we'll start by rocking the toes in towards each other and out again. So in and out a couple of times, squeezing the toes in and allowing them to rock out. And then the last time, squeezing in and rocking out and just allowing them to be completely relaxed, allowing the hips to relax, the toes to fall all the way out to the sides. So now we'll move up to the spine. We'll just take a moment to press the length of the spine all the way down into the mat. So pressing the lower back, all the way up the spine, pressing the back of the neck, bringing the chin in towards the chest. Just holding that for a moment, really lengthening through the whole spine. And then releasing, allowing the natural curve to come back. Lovely. Coming up a little bit higher to the shoulder blades. We'll squeeze the shoulder blades underneath as if we were drawing the shoulder blades together behind you. You should feel as you squeeze them together that it turns the upper arms out, taking the palms up to the ceiling a little bit more. So squeezing them in, holding them there for a moment, and then relaxing back down. Trying to keep the shoulders open and relaxed. Palms out to the sides, palms facing up. Moving up to the head, we'll gently roll the head from side to side, as if we were taking the chin to each shoulder. Releasing the neck, and as we're rolling, completing the last turn to the side, allowing the head to find a comfortable central position. Tucking the chin slightly into the chest so we're lengthening through the back of the neck. And now we're ready to relax, moving into our deep relaxation, shavasana, gently closing the eyes if you haven't already. Allowing the breath to fill your awareness. Allowing the breath to fill your lungs. Taking the breath deep and even. With each out breath, relaxing the body. With each out breath, relaxing the mind. We'll allow the wave of relaxation to wash over you, starting at the tips of the toes. Relaxing the feet, the calves, the thighs. Relaxing the hips, the buttocks, the lower back. Relaxing the spine, the upper back, the rib cage. Relaxing the chest, the abdomen. Relaxing the shoulders, the tops of the arms. Relaxing the elbows, the forearms. Relaxing the hands, the fingers and thumbs. Relaxing the neck. Relaxing the head. Releasing the jaw. Allowing the tongue to drop down from the roof of the mouth. Allowing the eyes to be heavy in the sockets. Allowing the forehead to be smooth as the hairline drops down to the mat. Completely relaxing the face. The whole body relaxed. The whole body heavy and sinking into the mat. With each out breath, letting go. Allowing the focus of the mind to be resting on the breath. The constant rise and fall of the in and the out breath. If the mind starts to wander off to think of other things, things that you need to do later, things that you should have done before, just gently bringing the mind back to the breath, bringing it back to that point of stillness and calm. Starting to take the breath a little deeper. Starting to bring the awareness back to the body, into the room. Starting to bring some movement to your fingers and toes. And whenever you're ready, slowly hugging the knees back into the chest, drawing them close, giving the body a squeeze. We'll start to roll over to the right side, keeping the eyes closed. Just resting the head on the right arm. And after a moment, on the right side, using the hands to slowly start to push yourself back up to a seated position. Keep the eyes closed or a gentle half gaze until we reach our comfortable seat. Spine nice and tall. Breath normal and relaxed. Taking a few moments to allow the benefits of the practice to be absorbed deeply into the body, into the mind and the consciousness. Bring the hands together in front of the chest, bowing the head, dropping the chin forward. And lifting the head up, blinking the eyes open. Om Shanti, Namaste. Thank you very much for joining me. This is the end of the practice.